YouTube, welcome to the top 8 grand finale and top deck list of the Maliss Meta Weekly. By watching as long as you can, that greatly supports the event. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
A loss is going to get negated. Now, a reason for CW on to not surrender early is because we have a triple tactics talent. Is that going to be good enough? Probably not, but it is a board breaker. Let's White Rabbit on summon, activate to set up into our back row our TB11. Now, with this play, you can see it on the website. If we open this up on the tier list, you'll see Maliss already at tier 1. And you can see under the combo breakdowns right here, TB11 White Rabbit will showcase the entire play step by step. You also have the guide on the website, all that good stuff. Let's now banish from the deck a Chessy Cat as it comes back, further going into a Red Ransom. Red Ransom searching our deck for Maliss in the mirror to banish with the Chessy Cat to draw 2. Drawing into a Chaos Hunter in our main deck, we're going to banish the TB11 to search for a GWC. Set that GWC as we further go into our Apollo USA. As we march here, banish from engrave the Red Ransom here. Red Ransom trigger to reborn itself back, banish from the deck a Dotscaper. This is not normal, not standard. It's Turbo Zone Spice. It used to be played in the TCG before March Hare was released, and the Mad Lad is still playing it. We now have Cryptor plus Decoder reborning back onto the field, turn these two bodies into a Splash Mage. Splash Mage is going to further reborn a Cyberse from engrave. We're now locked into Cyberse monsters only. That's okay. We already summoned the Apollo USA. But this is why a lot of people try to wait with the Chaos Hunter until they're locked into Cyberse only. But unfortunately, we can't do that in Masto because of the Apollo USA. We're now going to White Binder, banish multiple cards, banishing the Cryptor and the March Hare. March Hare add back to the hand. Cryptor would banish, summon itself back onto the field. Can turn these two bodies at least into a Firewall Dragon if we'd like. We're going to GWC, banish the White Binder, White Rabbit, White Binder, White Rabbit, summon back onto the field, draw a card, and now we're going to activate to set the GWC to be activatable during the opponent's turn as you turn these three bodies into a Terahertz. Terahertz is here. We're going to send it to Save Worm. Now, if you want to be safer, for some reason, they held it onto Veiler this late into the duel, which no one's going to be holding on to it. You could toggle on and use the effect to send the Save Worm in the end phase, but generally, you don't need to do that. What are our forms of disruption? The Terahertz itself is double disruption. It's a spell and trap card negate, and depending on what else we're playing a pack bit. Instead of negating a face-up card, this will push a monster on the field into the back row, where if they normal summon a Dark Blade that has to activate in an open game state, or even the Horse, you just push it back. I would say this is really good against Memento, not so good against the Anguish since it activates on summon. We also have 2 monster negates of the Apollo USA. We could also Impulse negate a special summon effect. We could Magnum Hunt, banish a card from the grave, which a really good banish would be the Gaddock. We have the Chaos Hunter, which can stop them from banishing their Memento to search for the field spell, and also stop them from banishing the Memento fusion to search their deck. So I will consider that as a form of disruption. You also have the effect of GWC to reborn the White Binder, which has the effect of banish from their grave. That, I would say, is potentially another form of disruption. If we count the Bestial, we should count the White Binder also. And then it's going to enable us by banishing the White Rabbit to summon itself, set an MTP to non-target banish a card in the field. This is a heavily padded 9 forms of disruption plus a max C. If we take away the White Binder and Magnum Hunt and the Chaos Hunter, it would be 6, but we're adding all those on top of this. So just understand, 9 disrupt is the ceiling here. Good luck, Memento. We have a simple triple tactics talent. 2. This is a very nice thing to see because if we read the Save Worm, what does it say? You're going to negate the activation of a triple tactics talent, and triple tactics talent says you can only activate 1 per turn. Well, the issue is if you negate the activation, I can now activate another one, but again, this is only activatable if the opponent activates a monster effect within the main phase, which we made sure to max C in the draw phase. We could use this to try to take control of the Apollo and then use it against them to negate other card effects. So 9 disrupts. Negate the Anguish, and now we triple tactics talent. Triple tactics, attempt to take control, Save Worm, negate, not today, mate. Now we could use the second triple tactics talent to try to take control again. Triple tactics talent, I'm going to take control. We're going to use the Dark Fluid to at least push the Anguish into the back row. or we could negate the pack bit by using the Apollo. So we lost Apollo. We're activating pack bit to push the Apollo, and Apollo's gonna say negate. So now we're down to about 5 forms of disruption. We already went through 4. Goblin Breaker is going to be tributing off to a search or special summon, impulse, negate. By using the impulse in the back row, it ensures that they don't have to control anything to make it activatable. It also does not turn off our light, earth, and wind monsters. Damn. 4 disruptions left, and Memento scooped it up. Let's hop into another duel. They only had to play through 9. Goblin is going to be activating to pop itself, send 2 cards from the deck to the graveyard. Gaddock is going to trigger, reborn. We can now summon Chaos Hunter here, and Chaos Hunter will stop Memento Fusion from being able to banish itself to search the deck. Also, we're not going to be able to use the Memento King, which is not going to be able to banish the search of the field spell. Will that be that much of a big deal? Let's find out. Creation King, it's not going to... Now, Creation King could just pop the Chaos Hunter by popping itself or any other monster we control, wiping it out. Further going into Herald of Mirage Lights. You what, mate? When a spell or trap card is activated, you could send a fairy from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy it. Well, what's a fairy in this deck? The fairy, who's the fairy again? Who's the fairy? Who's a fairy again? Wait, who's the fairy? They're the fairy. Mage is the fairy. Memento Mace is the fairy. That's what we need in hand to be able to negate. We have the ability to pop cards, potentially negate. We're going to potentially go into the ability to pop multiple cards with the Guardian Chimera. And we will maybe also be able to steal with the Mace in addition to discarding to negate a spell and trap card. We're going to pop the GWC right away. This is a toggle on play. What we wanted to do is set the GWC, the normal on the Dormouse. Now, GWC is not even activatable in response to anything, even the turn it's set, unless there is an already banished Maliss or engraved. So it was a complete bluff. It was not going to do anything while set on the summon of Dormouse. We have Anguish searching for the Sleepy. We now have Dormouse. We're going to respond to it right away. It's not a trigger on summon to banish from the deck, as we now make a Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon on summon's going to pop itself. And just like that, we have the Fairy to discard with the Mirage, or we could discard the Mace to just take control of Dormouse before it activates. Yoink. We're not done. We're going to use the Bone Party to pop the Gaddock, to summon a Gaddock, that is, to add back the Mace. And now the Mace can be discarded by the Mirage of Light to negate the Malice and Underground. CW on with Memento completely clapping up Malice. Nope, you're not going to banish from the deck. We used Mace to steal your Dormouse, and then we used Mace to discard it to negate. Now, to summon a Herald, you have to have 2 monsters with the same type and attribute. Is it and or? Yeah, same type and attribute except tokens to even summon this. Very well done. 1 and 1. You have a great turn 1, but what about turn 2? As we're going to go turn 2 again. Malice in Underground, banish the Dormouse from the deck, reborn itself onto the field, activate to banish a White Rabbit. Ash is not activatable yet. White Rabbit's going to set from the deck a TB11, which could get ashed. And you could argue that if you go into a TB11 play over an MTP, which the TB11 is going to be a better end field, it plays worse into a Fool Loss. So some people may have that argument of why force yourself into a play where they're going to chain Fool Loss to you summoning from the deck. Normal summon a Dotscaper into the Red Ransom. We're going to be triggering our Link Decoder, Chain Link Block in the Red Ransom, and also the Dotscaper when sent to the grave or banish summons itself onto the field. When do we ash? We can't. Literally not ashable at the moment. The Red Ransom was the ash, but it got Chain Link blocked. Now we can ash this if we want to. We're going to not ash. It's going to summon a March Hare. We're going to trigger the Red Ransom, special summon, banish from the deck. We could ash the Chessie Cat, activating to banish the Malice and Mirror. But because we wanted a better ash, now we can't ash. No ash onto the Chessie. Banish the Malice and Mirror. Malice and Mirror is also a pretty good ash, but we can't because of the Apollo. We're going to banish, draw 2, further go into the Heart's Cryptor. March Hare is going to banish from Engrave, come forth and summon, further go into a Splash Mage. Splash Mage is going to be reborning the March Hare. As we further go into a White Binder here, White Binder on summon is going to banish up to 3 cards from either player's grave. We're going to banish the March Hare and the Cryptor, trigger the Cryptor and the March Hare, return back to our hand, and summon the Cryptor onto the field. As we now GWC banish the White Binder. This is another great Ash. The White Binder would not come back, and if we read this, during your main phase set of Maliss trap card, we didn't even activate that effect yet. Thus, if you held Ash to this point and you have Imperm also, let's say we Ash this, the Apollo, you Imperm, White Binder doesn't come back, White Binder stuck banished, now the Cryptor could return it back, but then we don't even end on a GWC nor an MTP. But the March Hare can be protection against that being a big deal, as the March Hare could just banish a White Rabbit from the graveyard during the opponent's turn, so it's not a complete blowout. And now we have Terahertz. During the end phase of the toggle on, setting a Deceive Worm. Oh my Jesus, are we in big trouble? You have Ash negate an interaction on the deck. We have Calm with the Grave Finger, a card in grave. We have 2 monster negates to the Apollo USA. We have a spell and trap card negate with the Terahertz. We could also push a monster from the main zone to the back row. We could reborn the Cryptor, banish a card in the field. We could banish the White Rabbit, summon the White Rabbit to then set an MTP to banish a card in the field. That is 8 disruptions. Do we count Chaos Hunter? Let's just count it. If we summon Chaos Hunter, they can't banish from the graveyard their Memento Fusion. So kind of up to 9 forms of disruption. Again, similar to game 1, 9 disruption. We were able to plow through, I believe, 5 of them for game 1. What can we do for game 3? Memento, Field Spell, Dark Blade on someone's going to discard to pop the Calm of the Grave. We're going to Apollo USA, negate. 8 disruptions, mate. As we're going to Apollo again, negate the Dark Blade, trying to pop itself to summon for the deck. We're now down to 7 disruptions. Triple Tactics Talent. We're going to Ash Blossom instead of using the Deceive Worm, because if we negate the activation, we know they could use another one. Negate. 6 disruptions left. Bone Party. As we Deceive Worm. Negate. 5 disrupts left, mate. What the heck? We still have Terahertz send a Pack Bit to disc. Oh, we're going to do it right now. Pack Bit, push the Dark. Yeah, no, you're not. I'm going to leave before you do that. I don't think so. Again, 4 disruptions left. The Pack Bit was not needed. He was trolling. Let's go. White Binder is going, a White Rabbit that is set from the deck, a TB11. Justinian is probably not on TB11. We're going to make a Link Decoder. We're going to banish from the graveyard, summon a Magnum Hut. Special summon, as we're also going to be activating Magnum Hut to search for a dragon in the end phase. Come forth and summon. Now, this is a very important thing I want to highlight within this duel right here, right now. If you're struggling with Maliss, I think it's probably for this reason. You cannot blindly just follow combo guides. Not even mine. Not even what we have on the website. You can't blindly follow this or the guide here. What do I mean by that? If you see you have a White Rabbit and you go, okay, I'm going to do the White Rabbit TB11 line. That is only if you have just one White Rabbit. I will tell you this. I think that you should always be focusing on the field of a Link Decoder plus 2 other bodies over any other line. So all these lines that don't start with Link Decoder, you're trying to start with Link Decoder plus 2 bodies. Use your Bestial. It is, I believe, the safest and best play to play around Ash, to play around Nibiru. This is the best play. There we go. Red Ransom. As we Chain Link block the Link Decoder, can't use Ash. And if we make an Apollo, then we definitely can't use Ash. Didn't even want to use if we use the TB11 early to get into the Dormouse, they could have ashed that potentially. And now we have an Apollo plus a way to banish the Red Ransom, banishing the Malice and Mirror, which we would want to ash that. We can't. In any position, this is the way. So if I open up with a field spell, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, do I have a hand trap to normal summon? I'll usually have a Fool Loss plus Mouse in the Underground. That changes the whole combo. I'm not gonna follow the Underground combo if I have a Fool Loss in hand. I'm gonna normal summon the Fool Loss to ensure that I have Link Decoder plus 2 other bodies, one of them being a Fool Loss, to set up this combo play. We're going to banish the Chessy Cat, come forth. You have to think of a priority. Think of yourself like you're programming yourself like a robot, and you have a priority order. Link Decoder plus 2 bodies being one of the highest priorities. Full insulation from... Now, why do we call it the Grave of the Ash? What I would be thinking is they're using Ash to bait my Apollo to then chain a Nibiru, right? So if I finger the Ash, they have a Nibiru, we can now negate the Nibiru. If we needed to negate the Ash, we would just negate the Ash and then, oh great, they don't have Nibiru. We just have Imperm. We have Maliss and Underground banished from the deck. We have Jerusalem to potentially banish from the graveyard to get another body on the field. We could normal summon an Ash Blossom as the Maliss cards. Konami forgot again, you know, forgive them. It does not say 2+ Cyburst monsters, including a Maliss monster. Thus, the Ash can help you extend your combo potentially. And of course, we have Crossouts to negate the impermanence, only if we're playing Imperm. We maybe don't play it. Banish the Dormouse, summon itself onto the field, Imperm, negate. Do we Crossout designate? Yes, we do, mate. Negate. And this is where on the Maliss deck type breakdown, we click on this, we have the Underground play. Underground banish Dormouse, Dormouse reloads, just summons itself back, White Rabbit, and if you're not playing TB11, you'd set up the GWC, go down this line. As we're now going to Link Decoder, and we have the Jerusalem. So what I say, the default play is always, can I Link Decoder plus 2 other bodies? This is where we forego the Underground line. As I just said previously, don't follow this if you could set up a Link Decoder plus 2 other bodies. And what's wild about this is the Dormouse was already banished this turn. It did not matter. Even though Dormouse already triggered this turn, we still prioritized this situation of Red Ransom plus Link Decoder. This is I would say the #1 thing to learn with this deck. With any hand you have, focus on this 3-monster play with Link Decoder, and you're going to just be skyrocketing through the ranks. GWC, banish the Red Ransom. The next order of priority, if you're a robot, you gotta think, how do I trigger Red Ransom? Do I have a March Hare in hand? Okay, I can make an Apollo, then banish the Red Ransom. I don't have a way to banish the Red Ransom, then I can't go into Apollo right away. I have to banish it with the GWC. So we had to delay the Apollo USA summon to first banish it with the GWC. And also, if we still had a Bestial, we could have, if we wanted to use up the Ash, could have normal summon Ash, use the Bestial after making Apollo to then banish the Red Ransom, if we wanted to make the early Apollo, but in this case, we get to save onto the Ash Blossom, as we still have not used up our normal summon. We're going to White Binder. By banishing their Imperm, it ensures their Impulse is not destroying the monster that, or anything that's activating the special summon. GWC into the back row, White Rabbit, further going into the Cryptor. Cryptor is here. We're going to return back the Maliss and Mirror to banish itself, then reborn itself back. It's able to point upward to the Apollo USA. That is great. And what are our disruptions? We have Nibiru tribute off the entire field. We have Impulse set to ensure that we could use it early without turning off the Nibiru. Only if it's used from the hand can we not use it. Also, with the Impulse set, if they activate a Gold Sark, as we see right there, what happens when the monster triggers? There's nothing on the field, meaning Impulse in the hand is not activatable. But by setting it, and there's nothing on the field, we can negate it, and we could still use Nibiru in the same turn. And more importantly, this says Apollo USA cannot activate for the rest of the duel, and we have a freaking Apollo, mate, so stop using Impulse from in hand with an Apollo on the field or even a Firewall Dragon. Now, beyond that, we have negate a special summon. We have the ability to set up an MTP, banish a card in the field. We have Cryptor, banish a card in the field. We have 2 monster negate. We have Nibiru mate plus an Ash Blossom, negate an interaction in the deck. 7 disruptions. Allure of Darkness, Ash, negate. Call to the Grave, finger the Ash. If we had a Firewall Dragon, we could chain to return the Ash Blossom and Grave back to our hand to dodge the finger. All right, so that was our 1 Ash. It got fingered. We're gonna draw 2, banish the Dormouse here. Dormouse trigger, as we're gonna use the Apollo USA to negate. We're gonna hold on to the Impulse mate. Down to 5 forms of disruption. And Apollo's looking small, right? She is tempting. You wanna go in on her right now, but the field spell, Konami forgot. It says that your opponent cannot target any other monster instead of just Maliss monsters. So this does protect Apollo for some reason. It was just a small mistake. We're gonna banish a Chessie from the deck. Negate. the Chessie. What are we down to? 5 disruption left? Cryptor, Banish, Nibiru, Impulse. We're going to banish from the deck the White Rabbit. I think we're down to 4 disruption. Yeah, we used 3. We used an Ash, double Apollo. We're going to Impulse, negate. We could still use Nibiru, mate. So we had Nibiru, non-target banish anything, non-target banish anything. Damn, let's go. 1 and 1. All right, set pass. I thought go first wins. Chessie Cat is going to banish in the hand to draw 2. Now, this can be considered greedy. If we didn't have Gold Sark and I normal summon Chessie Cat, I'd say bad Justinian. But because we have Gold Sark extension, playing into the Ash can be more forgivable, where otherwise, why play an Ash when we have Dormouse that plays through the Ash? They can't even Ash a Dormouse play, just because you want to draw 2. But again, Gold Sark is going to help mitigate that. As we now Lingaribo. Now, what screws up the Gold Sark extension? It Impulse. Impulse in the hand or on the field would stop the play. So we make a Lingaribo first, so we don't get hard punished by Ash into Impulse. These are the ideas you gotta be thinking. You gotta think of this. Big play, big way. Got him, can't Impulse now. Lingaribo will negate. But now we're under max freaking C. What do now? Things got a little bit more complicated. We perfectly made the Lingaribo play. We ate their Ash. We're gonna Dormouse, banish the hair, which will not special summon, it will just add to the hand. Do we just are okay with this, right? We don't have to further special summon. We don't attempt lethal damage, that'd be wild. Let's set and pass. Impulse turns off your max C if used from the hand. We have Lingaribo negate a trap, Impulse negate a special summon, at least double disruption. Gold Sark is gonna be banishing the Dormouse. We now have Lancia, which is not usable on our own turn. Impulse negate. Now, what's very important about the Lancia in this specific scenario, if you Lancia on their turn, you can now use Impulse, and the Lingaribo cannot negate the Impulse because it banishes as part of the effect. Negate the Dormouse. Hair is going to take out the Lingaribo here, as we're going to March Hair at the end of main phase 2, Call by the Grave, finger the Chessie, forcing you to banish a card from the hand instead. Whether you wanted to banish that or not. Come forth, as we're going to banish the White Rabbit. White Rabbit, a really good banish during the opponent's turn, as it's going to be setting up a trap from the deck. Now we have a scenario where if we're playing TB11, I don't think we are though, you could TB11 summon a Cryptor during the end phase and then use its effect during your turn to return the Chessie back and banish. MTP07 within the end phase, we're going to be banishing away to grab a March Hare. As we Dormouse reborn itself onto the field here, we have Lancia. Are you ready to Lancia in the draw phase? Yes, indeed. No banishing for you. And we just have Impulse. Link, Decoder, normal summon your full loss. You gotta do it. If you have that open summon, you could link off into any of your Maliss links with a non-Maliss that is, including a Nibiru token. You can turn the Nibiru token into a Cryptor is one of the good ways to play around a Nibiru. Welcome for 300. And then with Red Ransom, you want to be searching for a mirror if you're under the effect of Lancia. We also have Cryptor. So even under the effect of Lancia, we can non-target banish a card plus negate a monster. Double disrupt. Do we have MTP anywhere? Is the MTP banished? MTP is in the grave, unfortunately, so we don't have a play to banish the White Rabbit to then resummon to then set it into the back row to then banish. So that's another thing you want to be thinking about is setting up your MTP to be banished so that the Cryptor could return it back. We're going to summon the March Hare under max C, banish from the grave. We're going to be adding the Dormouse here as we now have Maliss in the mirror. Negate, return the Cryptor mate back. Impulse, negate, which would not be activatable because there's nothing in the field if we had Impulse in hand. No return back for you as we now Lizard dose it up. We have anything that has not been banished yet. I mean, we're flaming on, right? This is main phase 1. We're going for lethal damage. Is this not it? I believe so. Let's go. EMG, good luck. Reborn the door. Oh, they have a Magnum Hut. They also have a March Hare. We're going to be banished the White Rabbit here. Come forth and summon into the field. 4,200 damage on the field. 5,300 life, setting up a GWC into the back row. Where's my flames? Link, decoder it up. Further turn the entire field into a Cryptor. This alone is over 8,000 damage directly attacking. We're going to attempt to reborn the Link decoder, block, decoder, reborn. Now, we can use the Cryptor to banish it away. We can also use the GWC to banish the Cryptor for an additional attack. At least 2 bodies on the field. We're going to banish the Red Ransom with the Maliss and Mirror being banished to not only add a Dormouse, but trigger the Red Ransom to summon itself onto the field, banish the Decker Chessy Cat, and now we're going to have up to 4 freaking bodies on the field. What the heck is going on? If a monster is destroyed by battle by the Red Ransom, it will be banished. It also is untargetable. We're going to non-target banish a card on the field. Take out that Red Ransom. Now we're going to GWC banish the Cryptor, reborn the White Rabbit as we now summon the Cryptor back on the field. Impulse negate. Is Impulse not the MVP or what? Guess what? Impulse has now turned off Nibiru. We cannot use Nibiru. Nibiru is dead. Lingerie. Okay. We tried. We tried. All's good, my friend. You did brick turn 1, unfortunately. Anguish is going to unsummon, search for the horse, activate the horse. We could impulse that. We're going to choose not to. Does any of our disruption matter if we have a Lancia? Probably not. We just activate Lancia, then we have Monster Negates, we have Reborn Creation to then pop, we can go into a Guardian Chimera. It doesn't matter. You can understand why I stopped playing Allure Darkness, right? How many times are we gonna see Allure in their hand under the effect of Lancia? It's not doing anything. Before, I was like, damn, I love Allure. They max see me, I activate Allure, I dig for a Droll Lockbird, I droll myself within that same turn, but now everyone's just using Lancia. Underground, and even if he did have Lancia, we did have Crossout Designate to negate the Lancia. Now, mind you, if we have 2 Lancia, if I Lancia, you cross out Lancia, I can chain my second Lancia. That's right, Konami forgot again to make it a hard once per turn. Dormouse banishing the White Rabbit after being banished by the Underground, set into the back row, a GWC. Let's link off these 2 bodies into a Splash Mage because both monsters have already been triggered on their banish effect, thus a Lizard Dose is no good. And we now make our Red Ransom. Red Ransom on summon is going to be searching our deck for the Mirror. We're going to GWC to banish the Red Ransom here, as we're going to be reborning the Dormouse, trigger the Red Ransom, summon itself onto the field, and banish from the deck a Chessie. Chessie's going to attempt to draw 2, which we may be using Ash here. We're not. As they draw 2, we're going to use the Mouse and Mirror, which we could Ash that also. We're not. We are going to further link into a Link Decoder. Turn these 3 bodies into a Heart Cryptor. What are we saving Ash for? I'm curious. What? I mean, you got 2 of them. Okay. Are we saving it for White Binder Banish? I think so. Now, we know, of course, that the crossout will just negate it, but maybe that is a good idea as everyone is triggering their White Binder or doing their best to do so. White Cryptor back onto the field. We're going to set into the back row. The Cryptor could trigger the White Binder by returning a banished card. And that's exactly what we're doing, as we're going for the super high risk, high reward play. Keep that card banished, does not come back, but we have the crossout designate to negate. Not today. Comes back, draws a card. It's even better if they have not already set a trap with the White Binder. And even if the Ash went through, honestly, it would have not been that big of a deal. Set an Impulse into the back row with the Thrust. Is Impulse that good where it's worth it to play Thrust to set it in the back row? I mean, it is a great card. And we are scooping this up, of course. Let's go. Begin. As I said, normal or set Ash, then use the Grand Breakout onto it. Because it does special summon or add, that is going to be a negate. And it's an obvious negate, right? How desperate are you to normal summon an Ash? Obviously you impulse if you normally wouldn't. Call with the Grave, not able to finger it. Of course, we top decked a gold Sark, where otherwise our... Sheesh. Oh no. If we had Lancia, they would have been able to finger it anyway. Oh my Jesus, ain't no way. Well, 2-1 victory, let's hop into another game. What the heck is going on here? We have Lancia and Fualas starting off with the Fualas activation as Chris is playing. I don't know what this is. Horus, Fiendsmith, Kashtira. Do we even look at the extra deck or just stay surprised? I forgot what he was playing within the top cut. Let's go. Ash, negate, the Fualas. Not today. It just slop. It is 60 cards. You're right. It is 60 slop. Fiendsmith tracked, add the Lurie, which we're going to just chain Max C2. Can't use Impulse since there's nothing on the field. Draw per special summon, and the main counter to slop is Fualas or Max C, which because they're slopping, they shouldn't have a card to counter the Max C or Fualas. We're going to King Sark, search for an I'm Seti. As we're going to return back the Birth, go for a search for the Sark plus draw a card. Whoa, it is tier limit. Send for the deck Hovness. Hovness perform a fusion summon. Impulse says no, you'll perform nothing. Negate. And we didn't chain Lancia. So what is Lancia going to do for the rest of the duel now? Because this states now Light, Earth, and Wind cannot activate for the rest of the duel. You may as well just chain it, I would think so, right? If it's dead, well, you could discard it with Cerberus, I guess. What do we... you can't, like, normal summon it, right? We're going to normal summon it. Allure of Darkness, banish away the March Hare. Now, we are going to be triggering the March Hare, add back to the hand. What we have here is just the I'm Seti if another card leaves the field. Yeah, you kept me in check with Max C. That's all you got to do. You got me good. Let's hop into another duel. I'm Seti, discard, search for the Sark, plus draw an additional card. We just have the Magnum Hut, which will be good against tier limit, being able to banish away any of the tier names, triggering the fusion summon. Not today. We are possibly not wanting to use the Apollo because Anderson is bluffing that he has a Nibiru. If you get caught off guard by negating something else, they chain Nibiru. Just wait. Protoss is the way. Whatever you got to do, protect the Protoss. We're going to chain the Maliss MTP to banish the Hare, as Dark Monsters will now get wiped out from the field, and now Dark Monsters cannot be special summoned. That's it. It's scoop, right? Anderson, if he's not scooping, then we coping. Now that we don't care if Nibiru wipes out the field, since the lingering effect of Protoss is already in effect, Dark Monsters cannot be summoned. We're going to card Destruction. Let's do it. Discard our hand, draw a new, as we now have Fualas in addition. Apollo USA says, no way, you will not be drawing per special summon. Not today. Rhino Heart. Reborn from Engraved, discard another Rhino, Reborn the Happy, Triple Tactics Thrust, set into the back row as we use Apollo to negate. 3 Apollo negates so far. What trap are we setting from the deck? What could it be? I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Blackout Laughs in tier limit is good to randomly mill or set. And it looks like our combos have only just started as we're now going into Fiendsmith. This is why you have to have Fualas and Maxi to counter the deck. Let's Reborn, Engraver, further go into the Sequence. Sequence, Fuse with the Grave, further going into the Desiree. This is immense overkill, as the Protoss alone is enough to win. Juristorm cannot be special summoned. Call by the Grave is just fingering the Crimson Tier, because why not? 1-1. Protoss for the win. Let's hop into game 3. Normal the March Hare, there goes our normal summon. As we search our deck for a Dormouse, March Hare is going to be adding back to the hand, as the March Hare now banishes the Dormouse in the hand, and we have full Wombo combo. Well done. Dormouse, banish from the deck. White Rabbit, summon itself onto the field. White Rabbit sent to the back row. GWC, link this off into the link decoder. The default play, 3 bodies with the link decoder is the way. Red Ransom on summon is going to be chain link blocked by the link decoder. No Ash in sight. We're going to be adding the underground, and by what I mean is you can't Ash that because it's blocked. We now have Apollo to negate a monster effect. We're going to be banishing with the Maliss and Mirror to add from the deck, and also trigger the Red Ransom to summon and banish from the deck a Chessy Cat to additionally draw 2 cards. This could be drawing some good non-engine. We have Allure of Darkness now in our hand. Splash Mage it up. Reborn from the grave. We're now locked into Cyberse monsters, but we do not care as we now make a White Binder. White Binder is going to be banishing the Hair, which we already activated to add back. That's okay. We're going to banish the White Binder to summon the Red Ransom, gain 2300 life, trigger the White Binder to draw a card and resummon. Double Allure of Darkness with no darks in hand. Are you going to YOLO these allures or what? Let's further turn the field into a Firewall Dragon as we Gold Sark banish from the deck a Ualos so that we could increase our chance to draw into a dark. Are you ready? YOLO! Allure of Darkness. We got a Baldrake. Do we YOLO again? No, we're happy with Nibiru. We're not gonna YOLO the Nibiru and Max C. We have 2 monster negates, a Nibiru. We could bounce up to 3 monsters from either field or graveyard back into the deck. If we see an I'm Seti engrave, we may want to activate the Firewall early. We have the Impulse negate a special summon. Did we summon a Cryptor? We did not. We do have an MTP, non-target banish of a card in the field, about 6 forms of disruption, plus Max C. Good luck. Thrust is now activatable. We could thrust any card into our hand as we grab a Unicorn first, summon the Unicorn, as we now follow up with Thrust into a grass-looking greener. I'm Seti gonna discard the Horus field spell as the Apollo will now attempt to negate. We're at 5 disruptions mate. We're going to Forbidden Droplet. Negate both bodies on the field. If we wanted to, we sent a spell on a monster. We could have chained GWC, but then whatever we summoned could potentially be negated, as you could then chain the Firewall to the GWC to return cards back to the hand, possibly, if you wanted to. Negate the Apollo USA. We now have an Ash in hand. Unicorn's going to be triggering, banishing, face down the Cryptor. Unicorn searching for a Birth. Birth is here as we have grass looking greener, chain GWC. We have no negate for the grass mate. We do have Call by the Grave for whatever you potentially mill. Now, what's interesting about this chain link order, what does this mean? What do I see? I see that White Binder can banish up to 3 of any tier element that wants to be sent to the grave and trigger here. If we mill a Hovness and a Sharon, they'll activate on chain link 1, chain link 2, and the White Binder is going to be the highest chain link no matter what you're triggering to deny every tier element trigger fusion effect. Let's go. Where are the tiers? Oh, I see a Hovness. Holy crap, can you see that? That's everything. We don't have a trigger for the Rhino. We have the Mudora to bounce cards back into the deck, plus the Keldo. We have a Hovness and a Sharon trigger, which, as I said, the White Binder is gonna directly chain in the same chain link because we chained the GWC to it. We have the Scream, tier cash, additionally mill 2. We're still gonna activate Hovness knowing that the White Binder will be able to banish it. We didn't trigger the Sharon though. We held on a Sharon effect. Mudora is going to shuffle cards back. We're going to shuffle the Hovness back. It will still stop the Fusion Summon play, but it's not being banished now. Our targets with the White Binder were the Engraver, Hovness, and our own Red Ransom, as the Mudora is going to return the Red Ransom back, Hovness, all 3, same 3 targets as we return back into the deck. Mill 2 randomly with the tier cash, grab a Meta Noise. Sulliek triggering to search for Rhino Heart. We still have that open normal summon for the Sharon trigger. King Sark, Birth is going to be reborning the Fenrir back in the field, resummon the I'm Seti, summon the Dumatef onto the field as we now have a zombie vampire. Nibiru tributing off the entire field before the zombie vampire activates. wiping up the field, giving a massive token at over 12,000 attack. We're going to be discarding Ash of the King Sark, sending Happy from the deck to the grave. Rhino Heart on someone's going to send the Sharon from the deck to the grave. As the Sharon now unfortunately gets fingered here, we're going to use the Fairy Tale Snow to dodge the finger, but she is still being prevented from fusion summoning. We're going to Magnum Hunt, attempt to banish the Fairy Tale Snow. With 32 cards on the grave, we could just dodge the Magnum Hunt. It don't matter. Would you like to add an Impulse to it? We'll just summon it again. So far, we have banished 14 cards with our Fairy Tale Snow. Reborn, back onto the field. If this is not a Flame On, I don't know what is. Finger, nothing. Fairy Tale Snow on someone could flip down the Nibiru. We're going to Keldo preemptively return the Lacrima, Nemesis Flag, and Tortoise back in the deck. Why? Because we are potentially going to be setting up a Banshee play to search for the Nemesis. Is this the way? Let's summon the Requiem. Requiem is going to be jumping off the field. 14 cards left in their deck. We're going to use Impulse to negate that special summon play. Fairy Tale Snow is coming back. Are we out of gas? Do we have an Engraver engrave at least? We had to return it back on the deck. We have Protoss in the graveyard. Oh my Jesus, what is going on? Happy is back on the field. We're going to turn the token and the Fairy Tale Snow, discard the Meta Noise to pop a back row card. 11 cards left in the deck. Fairy Tale Snow again. Can we summon 11 more times than we win? No. Let's take out the Nibiru, attack directly 19 and 24. It looks like we are potentially giving up with no disruptions in sight. What the heck happened? Oh no. Magnum Hunt's gonna start this off by banishing away our binder, triggering the binder and the Magnum Hunt. Come forth and summon and banish 3 cards from either player's grave. Binder on summon, targeting I'm Seti, Dumataf, and the other I'm Seti. We're not even banishing from our own grave. We're going to set a trap from our grave, MTP. If we even have a Maliss left in our deck to search, we're now going to activate the Hare, banish from engrave, the White Rabbit, reborn itself back onto the field. We're going to use the Dormouse plus chain the MTP, banish away the March Hare here to add back to the hand to open up a monster zone to summon whatever we banish from the deck. Grabbing a Dormouse to non-target banish a card in the field, taking out the Happy so it does not trigger to add cards engraved back to the hand. Chessie Cat is here, triggering to summon itself onto the field here as the March Hare Chainlink blocks an Impulse if they were even playing it. Come back to me. Chessie Cat is here. We're now going to draw 2 with 6 cards left in the deck. What are you even digging for at this point? As we now make a Red Ransom. Red Ransom is searching on summon. What the... We have 3 cards left in the deck. As we end our turn... Bro, are you timing out? Are you timing out? You couldn't even battle phase? What the... You do not time out. Scream is here. Birth, Reborn, Impulse, Negate, and Destroy the Birth. Okay. We have only 9 cards left in the graveyard as we Little Knight on summon Banish. Banishing the White Binder, which could force them to time out if they try to resolve it, right? Just force them to resolve more effects. If you overcomplicate their game state, they're gonna time out. They have to say yes to Binder, activate Binder, they have to target 3 cards, they have to say yes or no to Red Ransom, and then say yes to then banish a card from the deck if there is even something there, and then they time out. We're going to chain the March Hare to the Fairy Tale Snow. Chris, this is your last opportunity to force a timeout victory. Snow on summon, flip down the Hare. Anderson is toggled off, swing into the White Binder. We can't take out the March Hare. As we now drew a swarm, banish away that Fairy Tale Snow with 1 card left in the grave. We have 42 cards banished. Chris, where is the card? You know what I'm talking about. Where is the Zero Boros? Ain't no way you are not playing a Zero Boros with 42 cards banished. Gain 200 attack for each card banished. Come on, man. It happened quickly, but I believe we set this first, then normal summon the White Rabbit, yup, to help play around the impermanence. Now we see MTP, but it could be a bluff. And if it is a bluff, do we even risk using Imperm, as they're going to use the MTP to dodge it? If we don't use Imperm, we could maybe use it for another play. Let's say they end on an Apollo USA. We could try to negate that where they can't dodge it with an MTP or a TB11. A lot of people are starting to drop the TB11. What about GWC? That card would not even be activatable here. Let's see what we do. We don't Imperm. Nope. And it is, in fact, a card that we can activate as we chain Ash to negate the MTP mate. We're still triggering the White Rabbit to summon itself onto the field. What we're left with is just an Imperm. We're going to March Hare, banish the MTP away. Now understand, they have to use Cryptor to return the MTP back in the deck to gain that form of disruption back. We're going to Imperm negate, knowing they can't chain the GWC mate to the Splash Mage trying to reborn. So instead of using the Imperm with the setback or trap, which could have completely been a bluff, we hold it for a better play. What do we even have here? We just have Impulse and nothing else. And the Impulse is not going to be destroying a card unless we potentially think about using GWC early and then Impulse afterward to negate and destroy a card effect that would special summon. The triple tactics will be dead. We're going to Dormouse into... Our only disruption is now negated. I don't want to say people are sleeping on, because I'm not seeing big plays where people are foregoing the Lingaribo, but this card is cooking today. I know someone's going to be like, oh, DK doesn't know about TCG. Yes, this is very popular in TCG. In fact, they're summoning it on their end board preemptively to help stop any potential trap plays from the opponent. This is a big card. You got to be thinking about this, then make your other plays. March Hare, banish from our hand a Dormouse. We're going to GWC. Not Impulse negate, because the Lingaribo would just negate the Impulse. Thus, we're trying to bait with the GWC, but knowing the GWC is not going to result in a form of disruption, why would I Lingaribo? And there you go. Perfect. Lingaribo, negate the Impulse. Not today. Now, there's an interesting situation here that I'm just now thinking about. Impulse states you could only activate one Impulse per turn. And does the Lingaribo negate the activation? No, it does not negate the activation. Lingaribo negating an Impulse. The music's off, thank you. Lingaribo negating an Impulse ensures that a second copy of Impulse will not be activatable. So it's safe. Safely negate, no second copy, mate. Let's continue our plays as we... I mean, that was perfect. Can we say Lingaribo won this game? In a way we can. Very well done. Well, Animan has 0 disruption, and we're not playing on the ladder, so we're not just going to surrender as soon as we see a valid play, right? We're going to play this through. Call by the Grave can potentially help disrupt an MTP setup, as we're going to be grabbing our Dormouse. Dormouse, banish the Hare, add the Hare back to our hand here, as we're going to be linking this off into a Link Decoder. Always think about setting up the Link Decoder play. We're going to banish with the Baldrake to get the Dormouse back. 3 bodies plus Link Decoder for the perfect play. Red Ransom, Chain Link Block with Link Decoder. Reborn back, searching for our Maliss Underground. Thank you, Gia. Apollo USA is now here to negate any potential Ash Blossom, as we're now going to be grabbing that Chessy Cat to banish from the deck a Chessy Cat. I was going to say, like, normally you banish Chessy, you don't add Chessy, so that you can banish whatever you add with the Chessy. Chessy, banishing the Chessy, draw 2, Allure of Darkness, draw 2, banish away the door, further going into a Splash Mage. Splash it up, reborn the Dormouse, further go into the White Binder. We're now going to GWC, banish the White Binder, reborn the Red Ransom, gain 23, trigger the White Binder, reborn back. And Gianna, I do want to make sure, if Dennis is not here already listening, for this week at least, let's not speed up any of the Maliss plays so that the viewers can more easily see them as they're trying to learn. Let's make a Cryptor set 5 pass. Return the MTP back, which I said was an important play. To return it back, we're going to banish away our Gold Sark. Woo, what do we have? 2, Monster Negate, plus banish a card on the field. MTP is back in the deck, so all we have to do is get a White Rabbit on field. Now, the White Rabbit, if it's not in the graveyard, you could banish your Red Ransom. By banishing the Red Ransom, it will banish a White Rabbit from the deck, and then it will summon, set up MTP, or you could grab a Hare. Hare could banish the White Rabbit from the hand here. And so banish, and then MTP, banish, 2 Monster Negate. and then Impulse Mate, and Call by the Grave, and Ash. And Cross Out Designate, of course, in the mirror match is a form of disruption. If they summon Dormouse and they activate it, we can Cross Out Designate a Dormouse to negate, giving us 8 disruptions. Or Chessie. We're gonna banish Chessie and then I guess negate it with Apollo, huh? Interesting. Using double disruption to stop the Chessie summon. We're now down to 6 disruption. We have the thrust though. We're gonna thrust into our hand, nothing. We're gonna try to Call by the Grave, finger the Ash. We're down to 5 disruption. Will the Ash get fingered? No, it will not, because we have Cross Out Designate to negate the Finger Mate. Now down to 4 disruption. Wow, scooping to a Cross Out. Let's hop into game 3. Lancia in the draw phase. No Cross Out, no called by, clearly outplayed. Normal summon the hair into a Lingeribo, then pass. I want you to envision if we were potentially playing a Fiendsmith engine, circular, we could have ended up on something, or instead you just have as much non-engine as possible, which we just have Ash and Impulse. So that's where I see maybe the Maliss meta heading towards, where people are just going to be heavily focusing on good non-engine to help mitigate Lancia, turn, then pass, or still make plays under Lancia, but then lose to a Maxi and Fool loss. There is no perfect answer. You improve one category, you get worse at another. Impulse and Ash. White Rabbit, set up MTP into the back row, further link this up into a Lingeribo, which we now can negate the Impulse. Lingeribo is carrying hard. Trigger the White Rabbit, Reborn back as we go to battle. MTP is going to try to add from the deck, but not banish. We're going to keep the Lingeribo for something better potentially. Let's first just take out that Lingeribo so it does not negate our own trap. And then make our plays in main phase 2. Let's establish the way. We're gonna be getting rid of the Lingeribo, going into the Red Ransom. Red Ransom, searching our deck. Ash is going to negate. Do we finger or Cross Out Designate? Let's finger the Ash. Negate. We can MTP banish the Red Ransom to trigger its effect to come back with an extra body. As we're grabbing from the deck, our Maliss and Underground. Let's do exactly that. Banish the Red Ransom to trigger its effect. And this is where we Impulse, where normally if Impulse is in the hand, we can't use Impulse. But because it's set, we can only then use Impulse to stop the Red Ransom, which is trying to plus 2 bodies onto the field. But we have Cross Out to negate the Impulse. Activate, negate, perfect use of the Impulse Mate into outplayed by Cross Out Designate. Damn. Anna Man, I am so sorry. That sucks. Well, let's just not give up, right? Let's banish a Marchair, come back to our hand here. It is main phase 2 at least. The Dormouse has not been banished yet by card effect, which is now triggering to Reborn as we turn these 2 bodies into our Apollo USA. Dormouse banish the Chessie. Chessie come forth. Activate the Maliss and Underground, banish the Mirror to grab a Dormouse, plus banish from the grave. Let's banish the Dormouse, draw 2. Further going into a Splash Mage. Splash, Reborn the Chessie, turn both bodies into the White Binder. White Binder is going to set a GWC. We're going to activate that GWC. Reborn the Red Ransom, gain 23. Reborn back the White Binder, grab into a Gold Sark. Let's make a Firewall Dragon and end our turn. Oh boy, we have Hair, Ken, Chain to the Apollo activating. You're gonna wait for the Apollo to negate and then use the Hair, but then whatever you banish, the Apollo will then negate the it's a checkmate, but maybe they could disconnect. Mouse in the Mirror, Firewall Dragon completely stops the Mouse in the Mirror. Let's read it. You have to banish the target, and only if you do, then you get to add a mouse card of the same type. It's no longer there. We are returning it back to their hand. Well, we're going to chain Marchair to instead banish it. We're going to Apollo to negate the Marchair special summon. Negate, as we simply have just a normal summon Marchair. Not even big enough to attack over the Apollo here, as we now make a Lingeribo pass. Okay, Drew Swarm's going to be banned. Yeah, we're just going to scoop. 2-1 victory. Lancia into Crossout Designate, winning the match. But Turbo still on the Lancia, of course. We are going to White Rabbit, set from the deck, the TB11. We have Fualos, Ash, and Impulse, triple disruption through this turn 1 play as we Gold Sark banish away the Dormouse. Now, consider this. This has happened at least twice today. Open up with Gold Sark for what reason? Why? Because I know you want to try to fish for other hand traps through a normal summon first. They can't Impulse a Gold Sark play. It's not possible if you open up with it because they're going second, you're going first, there's nothing on the field. When it activates, you at least get the Dormouse in the field before the Impulse could even be used. Now, of course, if you want this to happen early, then sure. There is, I would say, an oopsie doopsie we did here. What we should have done is, in response to Gold Sark, chain Fualos, and then Impulse, because now Fualos cannot be used for the rest of the duel. We could just normal summon it. TB11, this is where we would Fualos, but we can't. We're going to Ash, negate. Call by the Grave, finger our Ash, and now we're stuck with a dead Fualos. Oh boy. Let's see what happens here. Let's speed this up. We're going to summon the Hare, trigger the White Rabbit, reborn back into a Lizardos. Lizardos going to banish the Hare from Engrave, add back to our hand here. And then we're going to March Hare, banish the TB11, link this off into a Red Ransom. Red Ransom grabbing our Underground. Underground's going to banish a Chessie Cat. Chessie Cat's going to banish Chessie to draw 2. As we now go into a Splash Mage, we already used up our normal summon. Splash it up, reborn the Hare, further go into the White Binder. White Binder is going to be banishing away the opponent's Impulse, so a further Impulse will not destroy a card when it negates. Dotscaper, banished by the Red Ransom. You what, mate? Set a GWC into the back row. The only Maliss player in today's event playing Dotscaper, as we're going to Terahertz, send the Deceive Worm. With Deceive Worm, we could, in response to a normal summon Dormouse, just use Defect to send Packbit to push the Dormouse into the back row. You can't chain the March Hare to it. You're not going to be able to use Bisteel as an extension. This is why Packbit is really good in the mirror match over Aggregator instead. So in addition to pushing back a monster, we can use Deceive Worm to negate a spell and trap card. We have Lancia, which completely shuts them down. And we also have the MTP setup with the GWC to banish a card on the field, at least for disruption. Allure of Darkness, Deceive Worm. Negate. Our own Lancia would turn off one of our disruption plays, so we're holding on to that. Let's hop into game 2. Allure of Darkness, come to us. White Rabbit being banished. We have an Impulse. We can't negate that, as we were talking about it earlier. If you open up with an Allure or Gold Sark, they can't use Impulse. We're going to chain Chaos Hunter early. Now, you may be thinking, what a fool! Why not wait for the Splash Mage, mate? Well, in Master Duel, they're more generally not going to have to go into Splash Mage. They could easily set up an Apollo USA before you even do a Chaos Hunter. Thus, you can't wait for the Cyberse lock, and it's just not going to be as effective in Master Duel as it was in the TCG. White Rabbit into the back row. We still have our normal summon. We're going to turn these two bodies into the Cerberus. Get poppin'. So again, potentially thinking about Splash Mage lock, but then they could probably Apollo before that lock even happens. It's just not a good scenario. We're going to be banishing the March Hare. At the moment, Chaos Hunter, I think, is only going to be good against those unaware that are not playing Cerberus. If they're playing Cerberus, you're done. Chaos Hunter's no good. We're going to cross out Designate, negate the Impulse, which is a game-winning play. Cross out negating Impulse has had the duel end right then and there multiple times in today's event. Oh my Jesus, Artifact Lancia. I Lancia you, but then I will Chaos Hunter you. Is that going to be as effective as the Lancia though? Well, we can't. Oh, shoot. Are you going to finger the Chaos Hunter because he's going to discard Chaos Hunter? Even though you can't banish, you're going to banish to counter the card says you can't banish? Holy shite. Veiler onto the White Rabbit mate. We're going to finger the Veil. Negate. Now, Chaos Hunter, only summonable on a special summon. We are waiting for that special summon. All right, we're going to set up the GWC. Maliss and Underground banished from the deck. The Dormouse can't Ash yet. As we're now going to whip out the Chaos Hunter. Discard... No, our finger on the Chaos Hunter. Chaos Hunter has been fingered. Negate and banish the Chaos Hunter engraved, thus negate the one in hand from even being summoned. We're going to banish for the March Hare, add back to our hand here. All we have left is Ash. And if you see a link decoder, you know that you're very likely not going to be able to use Ash. We're going to chain link block the Red Ransom from the Ash, as we are going to have link decoder be on the higher chain link. Searching our deck for a Maliss and Mirror. We're going to GWC banish here to reborn the Dormouse. Red Ransom's going to trigger, summon itself, and banish from the deck. A Chessie. Chessie, reborn. We're not going to Apollo first, then banish. We're just going to go right into the Chessie, thinking that even if they Ash us, so what? We're going to win this duel because it's turn freaking 2. Let's turn these into a Cryptor, which alone, we know, public knowledge, the Chaos Hunter in hand is the only card left, thus going straight into the Access Code Talker. Boost, banish from the grave, over 10,000 damage. And just like that, Justinian advancing into the grand finale as we back-to-back countered Chaos Hunter first with the Cerberus, then our Call by the Grave. Let's hop into the grand finale. Are you ready for the unimaginable Maliss versus Maliss in the grand finale? Hajime. We're going to start this off with a Maliss and Underground banish in the deck. Our Dormouse, which we have the Impulse to negate. If we had a Gold Sark instead, the Impulse would not be activatable. It requires a card in the field to even be activatable from the hand. And do note, for the rest of this duel, Light, Earth, and Wind will no longer be activatable. You top deck a Max C, you make an Apollo say, you go into a Firewall Dragon. It's not okay. Negate the Dormouse. Whew. An Impulse ended the turn. Now, if we had an Impermanence, would Imperm have ended this turn? Ain't no way we would be able to play through that. Lancia in the draw phase now. They did just draw into an Impermanence. Now we have a Call by the Grave, where otherwise, if that Lancia were to go through, we can't Sark, we can't Allure, we can't Maliss in Underground. This is it. Finger the Lancia. If we had a second Lancia, we would be able to chain it. The more Lancia, the better. Negate. With Lancia negated, we can now pop off from here. What is our play? We're going to start off with the Gold Sark. Banish from the deck a Dormouse. We have our own Impulse, but as I just said earlier, if you Gold Sark over the field spell, which we chose to do, you can't use the Impulse to negate the summon. Freely summoned, as Impulse can't be used. Dormouse banished from the deck. The White Rabbit can now get Impulse, but there's already a Dormouse on the field. And we could further banish with our Maliss and Underground. Maliss and Underground, banish from the deck. Our March Hare, add back to the hand. It's crazy that you went into your deck to add a card to your hand, essentially, but the Ash can't be used because instead you banish it to then add it. Now, we actually added the White Rabbit instead of the March Hare because it can add back any Maliss monster, and we have not committed to our normal summon yet. Thus, the White Rabbit on normal summon is going to be the play. And what was that? A bluff. We set the Allure before summoning the White Rabbit, as we're going to set a GWC from the deck, even though an Imperm would not be usable since the field spell is blocking it. But getting into the habit of bluffing an MTP or a TB11 is a good idea. Splash Mage, reborn the White Rabbit. Let's go into the Red Ransom, that is. As we're going to search our deck and not use Ash. Saving the Ash for another effect activation. We're not going to even YOLO Allure of Darkness. Now, this was a quite simplified play. We do have the GWC to reborn the White Rabbit to set up an MTP to non-target banish a card in the field. We have Imperm negate a monster. We also have Maliss and Mirror to negate a monster in the field. Triple disruption. Bruh. The impulse is haunting us from the next turn. Because we got impulse in the previous turn, the Dormouse is stuck being banished. Stepbrother, help me, please. We're going to activate the GWC, impulse, negate the setup of the White Rabbit play. Not today. Negate and destroy. Now, where can we go from here? We normal summon an Ash Blossom going into an access code talker. We could access the codes, but boost up to 53, banish the Red Ransom from Engrave, take out the hair, trigger the Red Ransom here. As we're gonna banish from the deck, Dormouse is here. We could have chain link blocked it from Ash if we wanted to, but it does not really matter. Let's resolve it. There's already more than enough for lethal damage on the field. Lethal with the access code talker. Impulse cooked this game. And we couldn't counter the impulse with our own impulse because they gold sarked instead of the field spell, thus we could not impulse stop the Dormouse from reaching the field. Bruh. Impulse is good, but not this good. Understand that if you impulse on the hand early, you can't max C, you can't Fool Loss, can't chain Fool Loss to the impulse, but you can chain max C to the impulse. I think we're gonna at least set one to ensure that we don't turn off those cards. The problem is if you set impulse, you now can't Fool Loss early. So what exactly do we do with a hand like this? Let's find out. Set. So we have to use that impulse early, which will counter the Gold Sark. We're gonna normal summon the Chessie banish from the hand, draw 2, trigger the White Rabbit, impulse negate. So now that we could use the Fool Loss. And they don't have a way to stop the Fua or Max C. Does Justinian take the Fua Max C challenge? Do we go for lethal damage? All we have to do is summon a Cryptor. If we could summon a Cryptor, Cryptor is over 8,000 damage with one of the special summons happening in the battle phase where they're likely not gonna be able to draw into anything. Possibly, if they draw into a March Hare from one of the special summons, they can't summon it within the battle, but they could draw into a Bestial. Do we take that gamble? Do we throw the entire game away to potentially win in this one turn? It's now not just the Fool Loss, we are also under Max C. Let's flame this on, don't disappoint me. We drew into a freaking Lancia, ain't no way. Banishing the March Hare, add back to the hand. Is this it? No, it's not it. We are not flaming on. Let's turn that back off as the YouTube took too long to turn on anyway. What are our forms of disruption? We finally have a play. Well, that play is going to be in response to an imperm negating whatever we summon. We could also impulse negate the summon itself, but we can do because the impulse is set. Because it's set, even though we have nothing in the field, it will simply get negated. Justinian knows that Anderson is desperate, so it is an obvious play. We're gonna set a bluff. This bluffs the impermanence. It tells them to, if you imperm me, you're a fool because I'm gonna chain my back row MTP. But are we gonna even get that far? No. It was a really good idea. It's a very small detail, a great detail. Unfortunately, Impulse has completely cooked the entire grand finale. Wow. Impulse, you gotta play it. I don't know what to say. Jeez. Lancia at the start of the turn. Is this enough to stop 4,100 damage in the field? Let's make our link decoder, link this all up into the Red Ransom. Red Ransom is, we're going to at least stop the link decoder from being reborn. As we add a mirror, this did in fact stop lethal damage. I cannot believe it, but we have imperm and a mirror. Double monster negate. What are we drawing into, mate? Another Gold Sark. It's not gonna get impulse this time. Gold Sark banished from the deck. Justinian is out of impulses to use. White Rabbit is here, but we forgot to set the impulse to bluff an MTP, which maybe would have delayed them wanting to activate one of their back row cards, but because they have both of them, probably not. As we activate the White Rabbit, imperm negates. And I'm not saying that we definitively should have set the impulse to maybe bluff. I don't really know what you could do. And because we possibly could just use the impulse on their turn. Just a really bad spot for Anderson. Anderson in both game 1 and 2 losing to impulse. Lethal damage. Oh my Jesus. Maliss, clapping up today's event to no one's surprise. Even with every non-Maliss deck, main deck in 3 Lancia, it's not like they learned to, oh, next week I'm going to come back at Lancia. They came ready with main deck Lancia. Some even came ready with main deck Protoss. It was not enough main decking side deck cards, and Chaos Hunter is not good enough, as good as it was in the TCG. Whoa, 80, not 80, but 8, which is 50% of the top 16. That is crazy. Memento, Tenpai, Blue Eyes. Now, what I want to look at real quick is if I open up the top decks page, I go to last 7 days, I click on tournaments, and I click on the Meta Weekly. I'm going to type in Lancia. So we have 16 decks here. Lancia. How many decks are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. 12 out of the top 16 playing Lancia. Now, are they playing 3 Lancia? Let's do that. We're going to do star 3. It drops a little bit. We have 6 decks. 6 players in the top 16 on triple Lancia. 3 Lancia in every single one of these deck lists. They also have notes if you want to check them out. Now let's go to the deck. Well, we can also, the tier list. Maliss at 18.5, which it's tracking to be a 60 power level right now. That's what it's on track to be, which will take up to 2 weeks, potentially, to get that 60 power level tier 0. And let's see the decks. Blue Eyes, Mobile X with the semi-limited Maiden and Sage, because these cards are obviously more broken than Maliss, so we got to restrict them. Mobile X, anything crazy with the deck? Nothing has really changed the main deck. No Lancia main. Mermail Atlantean, anything crazy? Good job, Kaiba. Got double Kaiju with the Sekka Light. Let's see what else we got. Noble Knight MSB on the triple Lancia, 43 cards. And then here is the extra deck. Very nice. I also want to be looking out for Phantasmes and Chaos Hunters. Tier limit, Chris. I gotta just open up your profile for this, because this is a fat, sloppy deck. What the heck is all these tags? Fiendsmith, Protoss. Maybe I should take Black Coat Laughs off. Horus, Kashtira, Grass. Let me move my camera to show the deck list better. Woo-wee. I'm still cutting off the extra deck. Let me zoom out. There we go. Now we got the full deck list on screen. Oh my Jesus, it's a chunker. We have Banshee to search for the Nemesis, searching for Protoss, lock people out of dark. Nuts. Very well done. Good job, Chris. See, any deck could potentially be viable if you could just make a rank 4 Xyz into Protoss. Just Floodgate. Let's now see Tenpai Dragon. We'll scroll on down here. Let's switch my cam over. Nicky Boy on triple Lancia as the way to play Tenpai. Here's the extra deck, and then we got the main, looking good. All right, looking quite standard. And then we have Matty Pin on triple Chaos Hunter instead of Lancia. Well, no, it's with Lancia. Triple Lancia, triple Chaos Hunter. Matty Pin, that is the way. Where is Crystron? Where is Fiendsmith Control? They completely disappeared. That is wild. With everyone main deck in Lancia, it's slaughtering Crystron. That just really sucks. And then having, I guess, Fiendsmith Control being all Bystials. Well, a lot of Bystials are not so good against Maliss. But you'd think Fiendsmith Control would be the deck that has room to play triple Lancia, triple Chaos Hunter, triple Phantasme, triple Valor and Imperm, or, at least Valor to protect against a Cerberus. Negate Cerberus is what I would think would be a good idea to protect your Chaos Hunter. I gotta try that myself. Good job, Matty Pin. And then we have Memento. Why is Memento doing well? Khan with nothing anti-Maliss in the main deck. We got the extra deck. Well, we saw Mirage Lights putting in some work. And then we had P Jim with the triple Lancia in the main. Also triple Super Poly. What else we got? And then the Maliss. We're going to look at the Maliss through the top decks page. I think that'll be a better way to analyze the differences between the decks here. Let's click on Tournaments, Meta Weekly, and click on Maliss. Woo! What do we have here so far? So huge shout out to Yusuf, Yafox, Hipster, EMG, Turbo, Animan, Anderson, Strife, and Justinian. We have almost everyone on Impulse besides Yafox. So let's switch over my cam to see. Yafox is not on Impulse. Now, if you're not on Impulse, you could use Lights, Earth, and Wind. Even then, people are still playing Lancia and Fuelos with Impulse because the Impulse is that good. Even Nibiru, there could be some confliction, but people still play it. Should also look at how about the terahertz. Out of the 8, there are 3 out of 8 on terahertz. Now, Hipster is this even considered a Maliss deck? What the heck is this craziness you got going on here, Hipster? 60 card. We have Grass Looking Greener, Fairy Tale Snow, triple Chaos Hunter, Max Millennium, Max Horus. Is Glow Up Bulb a good card to be teching into the Mill Slop decks potentially? I would think so. Oh my Jesus. Nicely done. All right. And then we'll start off with Yusuf here. Anything out of the ordinary? We have triple Allure of Darkness, only 1 Lancia in sight. And then we have this deck list is from Yafox. 2 Allure of Darkness is on Droll and Lockbird. Not everyone's going to be on Droll. Droll has been dropping Imperm and no Imperm, no Impulse. We have 3 Imperm and 3 Impulse. And then we have this deck list from EMG. 1 Allure, 1 Nibiru. We're on double Droll, double Lancia. We're on TB11. And we got double Lancia in that build. We have Dotscaper in Turbo's deck list, 41 cards with triple Chaos Hunter. I think if I'm going to play Chaos Hunter, I probably have to max out Valor, right? To protect it from Cerberus. Cerberus is coming. They're going to all in go on Cerberus, and they can't finger your Valor. That's, I guess, an additional benefit of having the Chaos Hunter on the field plus your Valor. What else do we have? Unfortunately, Imperm can't protect, so I would take all Imperms out for Valor if I'm going to play Chaos Hunter. I think that makes sense. We have a main deck Thrust, Thrusting Impulse, Allure of Darkness, triple Tactics Talent, triple Lancia. What else do we have here? I'm also going to show the overview of the tournament page. Anything out of the ordinary here? No Droll. We got the Bisteels up in here. Bisteels in most of the builds. And then we got the first place deck list. To stand above the rest, we're not on TB11. We're not playing terahertz. Making sure to play the Cerberus. 1 Lancia for the crossout. Interesting. Not relying on easy wins with the Lancia. Now, if we go into the Maliss breakdown here, let's see. Tournaments only. I'm going to switch my cam on over. So with tournaments only filter, this is the way to play the deck. Average 40. Building close to this, and you're going to be good. And I have Gianna, which will be working with Sotolo to expand the percentiles. We're going to expand this down to 10%. I think we're going to expand the extra deck down to 10% also, so that you could see a lot more data on the best way to play, even if they are rare. And then we're also going to be shortening the data ranges to better capture the latest way to play. Very good. Very nice. Very happy with today's event. Good plays, good players. Get Maliss in, and there you go. I think we are in a tier 0 meta. Do I think next week people out of nowhere are going to come out with hardcore Protoss builds plus Lancia, and that's going to knock out the Maliss players where they're not going to be taking up half, if not half, more than half of the top 16? That's to be seen. Sometimes in tier 0 formats, a stun deck can be the best deck. We're just filled to the brim with all the hard counters, and then they win. and Protoss might be that way to win. The problem with Protoss is if Maliss players are playing Lancia to counter Maliss, then Lancia also counters Protoss. You can't even summon Protoss if you're getting hit by Lancia. So I'm thinking that Protoss just inherently is not going to be a good way to counter the deck. They counter the counter by countering the mirror match. Crazy. TB11 dropping to 55 and terahertz down to 60%. Two interesting things to see there. Very nice. All right. And that is the event. We are in a super duper Maliss meta. Let's go.